You know, and he's a real rangy guy. Showed out in camp some, you know, and is doing some good stuff early for us, and we get him more consistent, and he'll get bigger. He's naturally he's gonna be a big kid, so even bigger than he is now.
Any other questions in the room for Coach? Go ahead.
All right, our fan question of the week comes from a fan. It's asking, growing up in Northwest Wyoming, did you ever have to run in with a rattlesnake or other dangerous animals?
Saw rattlesnakes, not so close that they were a problem. They're actually slower than you'd think, and so we'd kill them with rocks. But boy, we thought we were super hunters if we got one of those snakes with rocks. It was like, yeah, we thought we were the best cavemen on earth, you know. But well, you'd see bears. You'd see bears, and then you'd work your way out, you know, and usually from a long, long distance. A lot of what you see in Wyoming is from a long distance because it's kind of open country, and you're on ridges and things like that. And so, you know, whether it's just you've got really good eyes or, you know, a gun scope or binoculars or something, there'll be like, you know, a certain amount of stuff 300 to 600 yards away and things. Shoot, we had all the animals. I didn't see a grizzly when I've never seen a grizzly while I was camping or hunting or anything like that. I've never seen a grizzly in that situation. But you'd see them from the road sometimes. The rarest animal that I've seen, which almost nobody's seen, which you know, very few people have ever seen. I've seen a wolverine in the wild 3 times, and you know, and that's kind of unusual. Most people have never seen a wolverine, and wolverines don't let you see them much, and they're only in, I think, 3 states anyway. So, so that'd be the unusual one. You know, bobcats are pretty harmless. Coyotes are harmless. When I was there, it was before they reintroduced wolves. I've never seen a mountain lion in the wild, despite the fact there's 1 or 2 that live here in town. I've never seen one of those in the wild. But you'd see coyotes and stuff, but I mean, they're pretty harmless, you know.
Did you ever have anything to defend yourself with it if you ran into a close encounter, or?
Well, usually you'd be hunting or something, so yeah, you'd have a 30-06, you know, or a shotgun. You'd have a shotgun, and shotgun would probably sting them enough they'd leave. I don't know.
Anything else for Coach?
How'd you get into the jackalope business? Were you the one that was assembling them? Or?
Well, no, I was not. The jackalope business, I wasn't. The thing is see, I worked at this 2 different times. I worked at a hotel. Well, I actually worked at the Irma Hotel too, but I worked at the Holiday Inn. And I worked at the Big Bear Motel at different times. And of course they'd have, you know, in the lobby or whatever, and they'd have curio shops and stuff like that. And so they'd sell postcards. Oh, the Cedar Mountain Lodge, I think we had some too, I can't remember. So, and Cody is pretty easy to get jobs, so not just me, but others too. You'd have jobs when, you know, about 13 or something, and then well, I mean, and you'd go anywhere, there'd be postcards of jackalopes, and it didn't tell you, no, they're, you know, because they are real. And so then, well, so at these shops, they'd have the jackalopes, you know, for sale. So you know, there are a lot of, if you worked in a curio shop, and there were a lot of them, you probably sold a jackalope at one time or another. So yeah, somebody else put them together though.
What was your job at the hotel?
Oh, I had a bunch of jobs. Let me think here. I washed dishes at the Irma Hotel. I bussed tables at the Irma Hotel. I was a groundskeeper at Glenn Nielsen's house, and Glenn Nielsen was the president of Husky Oil. All those Husky Oil stations that used to exist were his, and then they sold Husky to Marathon Oil. Let me see. I had a paper out when I was really young. I worked at the Cedar Mountain Lodge, where I painted, did maintenance, and worked in the office. I worked at the Buffalo Bill Historical Center briefly, cleaning one of the wings. I worked at the Lazy A Hotel, which is torn down, where we drive around trucks when we were 13 years old, loaded with tree branches and stuff, and dump it and cut it and mow it and paint it and pick it up. You know, just around the area, because it was like a motel. They had a few cabins, and then they had a trailer, a camper area. I worked at the Holiday Inn in Cody, which again has cabins, has a bunch of cabins, has a big area with where you can bring your camper or your tent, has a little village that sells all kinds of curios, and then the Holiday Inn. I worked at, I painted houses for a guy named Bud Carpenter. I mowed a bunch of people's lawns, including the former governor of Wyoming's lawn. Mowed a bunch of lawns at various different times. There's another motel I worked at that I'm forgetting. Oh, I worked at the Big Bear. I worked at the Big Bear Hotel, and then in Cody they'll have fireworks stores, because fireworks are legal in Wyoming, and they're legal year round. Okay, so, and it was like a store, so it was like one of those kind of mobile house type of deals, mobile house. It was the fireworks store would be about. It's about a third again the size of this room, so this room plus a third. So it's pretty big. And then we'd sell fireworks, and so part of at night I'd work at the Big Bear at the desk, and so I'd paint the pool or whatever they needed painted, and then I'd work in the fireworks store, and so if nobody came, I hooked this hammock up in the corner, which worked out pretty good. And I'm trying to think, might have some other jobs too. But anyway, that's quite a few of them. Everybody wanted to be a garbage man. I mean, that was the best job you could get. Well, the highest paying was to work on one of those oil rigs, and it was tough, miserable work, but you made a ton of money, even back then. You made a ton of money, but you had to know somebody, and I could never get one of those jobs. And then, but garbage man was a good job, because for some reason it was with the city, and you had to know somebody to get that. But you'd be on one of those trucks, and you'd have the route, and if you were outside, you got to drive around. And then it was the type of thing that you got paid for the full 8 hours, and